Having an online presence is critical in the wealth management business. And today we have Patrick Briscoe, who's going to tell us how to utilize online tools and online media and online social media to build up your business. Hi, I'm Chris Reynolds, and I'm on a mission to help independent financial advisors build a better business through a remarkable client experience. In this podcast, you're going to learn how to do that from my conversations with the visionaries, the leaders, the independent advisors who are reshaping the future of the financial advice industry. At the end of each episode, you're going to walk away with an actionable idea that you can take and use right now, and it will help you to build a better business today. This is Turning the Page. Now, often on the show, I talk about how important it is to have an online presence when building a successful business. This is almost a 101 now. So many people use online tools now to gather information, and it's how you build trust with potential clients. Like if I got a referral, that referral I would almost guarantee is going to Google me, look me up, see what I'm all about, way before they pick up the phone. And if you have a good online presence, I've found, you've won half the battle before they ever make that phone call. And we've had a whole bunch of guests over the years that, I've talked about how you can do this. I don't remember way back, episode 27, we had Marcus Sheridan. He talked about how your organization can become the trusted voice in a noisy, busy world. And it certainly is, where everyone's vying for attention. How do you stand out in that busy, busy world? And then, of course, one of my favorites, we got Ron Tite. He talked about how to seize attention and build trust online. That was episode 32. You can go back and watch that. So today, we thought we'd actually talk to somebody who's put this into practical practice, somebody who's actually utilizing some of these things that we talk about, in real time. And so we have Patrick Briscoe. He's using the internet, he's using social media tools, and he's using it to build his financial advice business. And he's doing a really good job. And so you're going to learn how he's done it and how you can start using some of those same tools today. Pat is a financial advisor at Bayswater Wealth Management. That's they're with IPC. And he started his career back in 2011. He had a teaching stint, which, that's always great for this business if you're a teacher, and he was in London, England. So you take that sort of educational expertise and what he really loved to do, which is finance, and you'll hear all about it, and he went into the financial industry. He's been, building his business ever since, and he has, clients coast to coast now. Patrick also has co-authored in 2 upcoming books, Financial Success for Pre-Retirees and Financial Success for Retirees. So Patrick, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much, Chris. I've been an avid listener of the show, and I appreciate the invite. It's providing a lot of value, the episodes that you've been doing, and so I hope I can add a little bit myself.
Well, I think you can. As I said, I've certainly watched you in building that business, and you've been doing a really good job and a little bit different from what other advisors have been doing. So maybe there's a great point. Why don't you tell us your story?
Yeah, so you touched on it a little bit there. As you mentioned, my decision to get into the financial industry happened after that trip to London, England, with my now wife, Rita. So we went there after teachers college. We were graduating teachers college at a time when teaching jobs here were not readily available. And so we decided to take a leap across the pond and get our feet wet, supply teach, do some traveling at the same time. And, it ended up being a trip of a lifetime, explored 9 different countries, and in roughly 6 months we were there. And, during that trip, I discovered a couple of things. I discovered that I do actually have a passion for teaching, but definitely not a passion for classroom management. And so
that's a whole different thing.
It is. Somehow I got it confused because now we have 4 kids and I feel like at home I'm doing classroom management all the time. But so I often joke, I do love to teach and I still do teach every day, but now it's to those who want to listen or,
right.
Or at least my clients are more willing to entertain me than the students were. And so anyways, after that trip, we came back to Canada. I had a relative in the financial industry that knew I had an interest in finance and also that I was fairly tech savvy. And so they asked if I would help improve some of the systems in their advisory practice.
Okay.
So, I took them up on that offer. Within the 3 years that we worked together, I explored various areas of the industry, obtained my investment, insurance, and mortgage licenses, and also did tax preparation during tax time. So it was a really good learning opportunity. And in 2015, Rita and I had our first child and made the decision to branch off on our own. And that's when we created Bayswater Wealth Management. And the name Bayswater actually is an homage to where we lived in London, England, in the area called Bayswater. So kind of
that's interesting. I was going to ask, I always wondered about that. I wonder where these names come from.
Yeah. And our logo is the marble arch, which used to be the entryway to the palace. So, it kind of has that feeling of security to it and an entry into, something bigger.
Right.
So that was 2015, went out on our own. A couple of years later, we made the move over to IPC. And that's when I really saw the growth take off. We were coming out of what I would call a no-frills dealership, not a whole lot of support, education, marketing, and it was a night and day difference moving over to IPC. And with some of the resources, including the online resources, which we'll talk about, things really started to change for us.
And you've done incredibly well. Now, it's funny, you come in, as a teacher, and I often say that this is a great profession for teachers because really that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to educate people on, what to do, how to do it, and, what's the best thing to do. So are there lessons that you took from your teaching days that you now use in the financial business?
Yeah, I would say that there are. I think just philosophically, understanding the various teaching philosophies, methods of teaching have really helped just improve my communication style with clients. Einstein has a great quote that says, if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough.
I love that quote, though. That's my favorite.
Yeah. So if you can't explain it simply, you don't even understand it well enough. So, we work in an industry that has more jargon and acronyms that is necessary. And sometimes it feels like advisors will use that to their advantage, right? Make themselves feel smart or seem smart, or perhaps to brush over complicated topics that they can't quite put into simple terms themselves. And so what teaching did was, allow me to understand that and try to take Einstein's advice, right? Cut through the jargon, educate in a way that makes sense to someone not in the profession. And I feel like that has landed very well. And I'm glad that, I did go through that process to build those skills.
Yeah, no, and you can certainly see it. Now, so, over the last 13 years, how have you been growing your business? Like, where have you seen the most success, and what were the things that you did? You say, wow, now that worked.
So, I mentioned the business starting to take off when I moved to IPC. And I think what also happened at that time is I made the transition from focusing on investment management to financial planning. And they're very intertwined, but completely separate at the same time.
Right.
And so focusing on financial planning, meeting clients' goals, finding out what their hopes and dreams are, and then building a plan around that, which will then lead to the investment management piece, has really been a difference maker in our growth. And, answering questions like, how much do I need? How long will it last? What will be left?
Right.
How will that be taxed? And what if something happens in between? Right? Answering those questions, I feel, can make a much bigger impact than can we make 7 or 8% this year?
Right.
Right. And as a side note, you and I know that investments are like a bar of soap. The more you touch it, the smaller it gets. So
exactly. It's the best line ever.
In the industry, we can often do clients a disservice by focusing too much on tactical investment changes. And so even if the interests are aligned, sometimes we can fall into that trap. And so moving the focus to financial planning has been a really big pillar of growth for us. I would say probably second on just a very practical level, that tax experience has been a big business builder as well. So much of what it has gained a lot of credibility between myself and clients. I did the math, and over the 13 years so far, I've filed over 5,000 tax returns.
Holy moly, that's a lot of tax returns.
It is. You don't see me much during tax time, but we've learned a few things, right? About estate taxes, commuting pensions, drawing from retirement accounts, and OAS clawbacks, and all of that is really, really important. I like to say that what good is making an extra 1% in investment returns when we're losing 30 to 40% in taxes if we're not planning properly? Okay, so having that tax understanding, along with kind of my past life in the mortgage business and doing life insurance as well, kind of allows us to see the big picture for clients, and I think that's really appreciated versus just reviewing what the performance has been over the last quarter.
Right. No, absolutely. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because I get the privilege of working with advisors right across the country, and probably some of the most successful advisors, not only in Canada, probably I would put them up in the world. And just like you, they generally say the same thing. They focus on the advice, they focus on the client, they focus on the experience. Sure, we have to do well with returns. No one can be a slump at that and just be good at advice, but one is not a replacement of the other. If you focus on the planning and you do a fairly good job with your recommendations on where the money's going to go, that's sort of the secret formula. But to your point, I also see people that just focus on the investments, believe that they're actually creating value. But I can also tell you, and I'd like to be challenged on this, I've been in this business quite a while. I've been in this business over 30 years. I have yet to see an advisor who actually added substantial value on returns over a period of time. I've seen people screw it up. Like, I've seen that happen continually, but rarely have I seen anyone add any value to it. So I think you're certainly on the right track.
And I think the stats are in your favor on that argument. Right? And I can touch on the total client experience a little bit as well, because I would say that's one of the other pillars of growth for us, and one of the difference makers that happened in 2017. From the welcome screen and drink menu that we have at reception, to the financial planning software we use and social media tools that we use, even right down to the booking emails that clients receive before and after their appointments. There's always room for minor improvements to that client experience, and I think that has helped as well. I'm a big fan of the 1% rule, and whenever I get the opportunity, I share the story of the British cycling team. So if you don't mind, I can share.
I would love to hear it. Yeah, absolutely. Everyone would like to hear that one.
Yeah, so some have probably heard, but in 2002, Dave Brailsford became the head of British cycling. And up until this point, the Brits had only won one single gold medal in their entire 76-year history. So they were not a pillar of success.
They weren't the shining example. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this is why they brought Sir Dave on board, and we can call him Sir because he was later knighted for his accomplishments. So Sir Dave came in, and he applied the theory of marginal gains. He himself was a professional cyclist, and he also had an MBA. So while getting his MBA, he kind of learned some of these theories of business improvement, and he applied this theory to the cycling team. And he thought that if he could just make 1% improvements on every element of competition, those gains would become large enough to make a difference.
Interesting.
And, obvious ones like aerodynamics, reducing weight, right down to minute details like dust accumulation in their repair vans, proper hand washing so that they could avoid illness. And they even brought their own mattresses and pillows to competitions so they could sleep consistently. Right? So nothing was left unturned. Long story short, the team won 2 gold medals in 2004. And then in 2008 and 2012, they won 7 out of the 10 gold medals available in track cycling. So, I don't know if I'll be knighted for the 1% improvements we make, but I still think it's a worthy cause because those little incremental differences can add up and do improve the client experience.
Well, again, I'm glad that we're talking about this because that is something that, we really focus on. We have, our principle called Kaizen that we utilize at IPC, which is constant continual improvement, like never be satisfied, always be looking for, and it doesn't have to be, and this is what people think, it has to be these big leaps of improvement. Just little things, just one more follow-up, just one more contact, just one more of this. Can lead to huge gains within a business. And it's also those little things, by the way, that annoy people, right? It's just how people got responded to or how long it took for responded to. It's not the big things that ever really, get under people's skin. It's usually the little things. So I think that's a valuable lesson for everybody. Yeah, and one of the other things that your business has done, which, a lot are starting to get on, but weren't as, again, quick to the mark, is how you've used online marketing. You're a good example. You have a good web presence. You continue to grow your business that way. You utilize other communication tools, but maybe you can tell your approach and your sort of, tech savviness that has helped you with your business.
Yeah, of course. So in your introduction, I think you nailed it, calling it the 101. Like it's just a bare minimum now that I think every business has to have. And the way that I've kind of implemented our online presence is the way that I would view a potential client coming across us and the path that they would go down to eventually become a client. And then once they become a client, what the experience should be from there. Right. So I can kind of touch on what we've done along that path, and then please. Happy to share some of the tools we use and what we share with clients as well. So 9 times out of 10, the first place someone is looking is Google, right? To your point, if you're not on Google, you might as well not be in business.
Exactly. Yep.
Everybody is going to search for you there first. And so, our Google business page is the bare minimum. And although it's a bare minimum requirement, you can also beef it up. So Google does allow you to upload images, upload a video introduction of your business, create a link to your appointments booking page, and most importantly, get your clients to post ratings and reviews. And so we've done all of those things. Our awesome clients have, posted, at this point, I think 44 5-star reviews, which, wow. Yeah, it's a good starting point, right? Someone see, they exist, they're alive, and it seems like people like them. So that's a good start. And then if we're lucky, they'll go through the website. So we've got the IPC marketing team that's always updating that, posting blog posts, and making sure that the site is up to date. And then we've added an introductory video there. And by that, I mean, we had a videographer come into the office. I do an introduction, walk through our process, film a little bit of client interaction, which was not staged. It was a real meeting. Some of these can look pretty fake. It really happened. But we try to make it as legitimate and authentic as possible. So we've got that on the site as well. And then supplement that with the usual Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, right? Again, I view those not necessarily as the drivers of getting people in the door, because if that's all you have, I don't think that's going to do the trick. No. But it's just hey, we're here and we exist and we're still active. And it's also a way for people to get a bit of a deeper understanding of who we are. Because I find by the time they've gone through that process, they've seen us on Google, visited the website, watched the video, have some more candid videos and posts through our social media page. If they're still booking an appointment after seeing all of that, then they're usually pretty warm leads.
I was going to say they're almost a client at that point.
Exactly. And I really have to blow it in the introductory meeting to not get along well with the client at that point. So that's kind of our process and how I look at it. In terms of tools, a mix. I do like to do some automation. So,
Yep.
we use a digital marketing tool called Advisor Stream.
Yep.
It posts daily curated content for us. I get the ability to approve, decline, or change certain posts. But again, that's a daily touch point just so that eyeballs are on us. Or at the very least, if someone is looking us up, they see that there's activity going on.
Right.
So Advisor Stream's been great for that. It also helps us build out a bi-weekly newsletter that we send to clients and prospects. And then on the other weeks where our regular newsletter is not going out, we send out another newsletter. I've teamed up with Carl Richards to send bi-weekly sketches to our client inboxes. And those ones are meant to be more insightful. They touch on more intimate areas of behavioral finance and personal development, and are meant to spark those deeper conversations with clients.
Right. So you can hear how Patrick utilizes online presence, social media to really build his business. I'd like to know how you're using it to build your business. I'd love to have a virtual coffee and talk to you about it. So go to the show notes, click on the link, and I'd love to have a virtual coffee with you and talk about social media. Looking forward to the chat. You really touched on it all, right? And this is the point that I always try to make with advisors is if I'm a potential client, the first thing I'm going to do is Google you. And if you haven't, whoever has the best presence usually wins. And I illustrate this with a story. During the pandemic, I was living in Key West, and I had a toothache. So if you have a toothache, what would you do? Well, you would Google dentist Key West, which I did. And if you didn't know this, there are 5 dentists in Key West. That's all there is. So, of course, what do? I have to find a dentist. I Google, there's 5 of them. I go on each one of their websites. And let me tell you, the first 3 are usually what I see in this business. Very, blasé websites. It really didn't tell me very much. It was like somebody's, cousin did it for them for free. The second to last one was pretty good, but the one had, to your point, everything you just talked about. They had newsletters, they had videos, they had testimonials, they had rankings from their clients. They had actually newsletters depending on what you were looking for. What was my choice? Pretty easy.
Sounds good.
By the way, and I thought about this after, not once did I look at qualifications. Right? It was all who had the best web presence. And I think we can all take a lesson from that as you have, is the number one reason you do it isn't necessarily to generate new business. It's helpful, but it's more about when someone does get sent to you, most of the work is already done before they even walk through your doors.
Yeah, and it's true. And I think social media has changed over the past 3 to 5 years from just a place where you can post random quotes or happy Thanksgiving messages, right, and is really now a place for professionals and businesses to already start to provide value, create that authority within the industry, let people know you know what you're talking about. And that's what's going to bring people in the door.
Well, now on top of that, so you've had this great web presence, but now you're actually one of the co-authors of 2 new books. So maybe talk a little bit, how did that come about, and how do you plan on using that newfound fame to continue to grow your business?
Yeah, and it's funny you say fame because it really does create a sense of credibility, celebrity, authority, right? That just by having a tangible published book to be able to say you were an author in. Right. And so, I am excited for the books coming out very soon. They, like you said, are entitled Financial Success for Retirees, and the second is Financial Success for Pre-Retirees.
Right.
And IPC has a bit of a legend advisor, the Convery.
Yes, she's been on this. She was like podcast, I'm going to say number 3 or something. She was like one of our early ones.
Yeah, she's fantastic. Marketing connoisseur, and graciously brought a number of advisors together to co-author these books. And so that's how it got started. And I've written a chapter in each. One is on your retirement paycheck. So in retirement, looking at the various sources of income, how they're taxed, and how a financial plan can help you structure them in a tax efficient way. And then the second is on utilizing home equity in retirement. And yeah, I think these will be a great resource for existing clients, but also prospects and professionals in the area as well that we can share with, and hopefully help spread the word within the community that if you want good financial planning advice, then we're the ones to come to. Of course, it will go on our website,
Right.
Table stakes. It'll go on our social media, so we will be posting about it. We'll be having a launch party to invite clients out, build some awareness, hand out some copies, and it's already starting to gain some traction. On my way back from next month's conference in Montreal, I'll be stopping in Ottawa and actually giving a presentation to a client's social committee on the topics.
Oh,
so
fantastic.
It's just getting the word out there, using it as a tool to share information, kind of like social media. I think this also is social media. Social media doesn't just have to be the Facebooks and the Instagrams and the LinkedIns. The media can be the book. The social can be the launch party, right? You can just get out with clients, interact with them, and I think that develops a presence as well.
Also, there's sort of a bragging rights to having an advisor who is an author as well. So, there's always that: give your clients 2 books, have them give it to their best friend and have them read it. That is the same sort of idea as social media. It's a methodology to almost leverage communication in a much bigger forum than you could just one-on-one. And the topics are very timely. Like the whole world is going through this change in demographics, which people are wanting to take money out. You got to get ready for this retirement, and then you got to get the money out of there. And it's a completely different planning technique. It's a completely different investments when you're taking money out as opposed to when you're putting money in. So I think you're also doing, the whole group of you that are doing this, doing a real service to Canadians in that this is a timely topic that people really have their minds towards.
Yeah. And it's something that is not always easy to understand. And if we can help during that process, I think it's a great value add. And on the topic of the book itself, I mean, it's kind of neat. To your point, if your dentist was able to hand you a book, you'd feel pretty proud that you have the dentist that's also an author, right? So
I would tell everyone too. It'd make me feel good. I'm like, look at my advisor, and like your advisor doesn't have any book.
Yeah. So there's obviously a little bit of that as well, and it's not an easy feat. I mean, it is easier to publish, but I'll tell you, just writing one chapter takes a lot of time, let alone writing a whole book. So,
I know I'm right in the middle of it, so it's hard.
Yes, yeah.
It's hard to get that many ideas out. You're supposed to do 10 pages a day, and it's hard to get 10 pages out a day.
Oh gosh, I'd say.
Well, we'll find out. We'll see if it's any good. So what, sort of finally, what would be, a lot of advisors are very sort of nervous about online, and they're not really sure of it. So if you had to give just a couple pieces of advice, that one of our listeners is like, okay, I want to at least make a start, what would you give them? What would you tell them?
I think just the most basic thing goes to that, step 1 in that online presence path that I outlined, and that's your Google business page. If you don't have one, you need one. Make it immediately.
Right.
If you have one, or once you've made one, ask your clients to write some reviews. And you can do it slowly. Part of our automated emailing after a client appointment, we send them an email saying, thank you so much for coming in or meeting with us online for an appointment. These conversations are what build the relationships and improve the client experience. And if you think that we deserve a 5-star review, here's the link. And so we're pushing that opportunity for clients while not forcing it. And I think if you can do that, there's no better voice online than those of your happy clients.
Absolutely. Endorsement is what makes it.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be you making social media posts every day. If someone comes across a list of positive reviews that others have left for you, that can go a long way. So I think do that first thing. Second would be start small. Yep. I was very anxious as well, creating videos, especially public ones. So what I did was I started with short videos to clients. You can download Loom or Vidyard or Hippo Video, and the next time a client emails you, reply with a video. Just hit record. Hi, Susan. Thanks so much for the email. I thought I would reply with a video to share my thoughts on this topic. It'll get your brain used to it. It'll get your nerves out of the way. And then you can start stepping into maybe a video to all of your clients, and then maybe a video to social media. So start small, automate some of it, use tools like Advisor Stream or Hootsuite or some of the other social media tools available, but don't fully automate either. Right. You still do want your voice to come through because people can see through when it's not.
Right. You want to be authentic. You want to be touching them. You want to be the real you.
Yeah. And I think on that point, the last tip I would say is don't be influenced yourself. Your clients are with you because they like you and the work that you provide. You don't need to try and mimic a TikTok influencer for your social media presence. Just be authentic, and that will attract the clients that are best suited for you. Right. And it also always doesn't have to be public facing. Start internally, meet with your clients, share with your clients, send them newsletters, send them a video, talk with them more. That too is social media and can be an online presence. So be yourself and do what you can.
I think that's great advice. And to your point, I love the video one because that's a good start, and people appreciate and in this day and age, we're utilizing that way more. In fact, I'm going to start doing that. I'm going to start utilizing videos for my responses. Why not? I'm sitting here anyhow. I might as well turn the camera on.
It's a lot easier than typing, and clients love it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great idea. So now, if you, as a fan of the show, I have my rapid fire questions. So I'm going to ask you 3 questions, and whatever pops in, that's the answer. So the first question always is, what are you most passionate about?
Building the business. I love financial planning. I love the numbers. I love diving into the investments. When you do that every day, though, you also do need an additional source of excitement. And I find the building of the business is that source of excitement that re-energizes me on the other elements as well. So using that 1% rule, looking around and finding out what can we do better, because there is an endless list in that regard.
Exactly. You can always do something better.
Yeah. So that's one of my favorite parts of the business, is just building it.
I love it. And it shows. You can certainly see within your business. My next question is, what was the best client interaction that you can remember?
The first one that pops into my mind was an email back from a client. I think it was actually a reply. It was a number of years ago, a reply to one of our early social media posts. And just a comment on how comfortable this client now felt knowing that they have a plan, right? I know that 10, 20, 30 years from now, now it's never going to be perfect. Things will happen along the way, but we have a roadmap of where we're going. And that post saying how much they appreciated that and could sleep better at night because of it always comes to mind as one of the reasons why we do what we do. We help people sleep better at night, and that's a pretty rewarding feeling.
I love it. That is a great one. And it is why we work, right? Those little, when you actually get the feedback of everything that you put your heart and soul into, and it tells you that you're actually doing a good job. As I said, that's what keeps us going. And my final question is, what's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
I think, and I kind of alluded to it in the podcast already, and that advice is you already have raving fans within your client base. And I find that as advisors, we can build a lot of head trash. Am I really good enough to deserve these clients? Am I really good enough to post on social media? Am I? And one of the best pieces of advice is, well, look at what you've already built, right? You're already standing on top of some success. People have trusted in you. Use that as some inertia to ignore the head trash, keep moving forward, keep building your business the way you want to do it, and kind of keep those blinders on to what everybody else is doing and saying. And it'll help you build the practice that you want and definitely make it successful.
Yep, it's very good advice. Just keep moving forward. Don't listen to all that, and especially, sometimes don't listen to those voices in your head either. They don't always know what they're talking about.
One foot in front of the other. It's another mantra that I use. It got me to the top of Mount Baker in Washington, and I use that as a story now and again as a way to just get through things. One step in front of the other, and you'll make it.
Keep moving forward. No, it's fantastic. Patrick, there's been great. My rant is, of course, you embody what we talk about. You have to be out there. If you want to build a business, you have to be out there. You have to promote yourself. You have to be utilizing social media, because people are going to look for you, right? The first thing you do with any service, not just financial advice, any service. I'm getting my fences done. You Google fence maker in, where my farm is. So you have to have that presence. But not only that, to your point, you have to lead with advice. You have to do a good job, and you have to have that, what we've talked about on the show constantly, which is that total client experience. You have to make the client feel special. And I love what you said about the 1%. Like, just keep improving just a little bit at a time. Just 1%. You don't have to make massive leaps ahead. Just make it, a regular basis to improve what you do. And I know that people who have done this, like yourself and others that I've watched, is by making those little incremental changes and improvements over a 3-year period, you have completely transformed your business to a well-oiled machine. And so you're a great example of that. So thanks for coming on the show and giving your insights. Any final words for our audience?
Yeah, just do it. Follow Nike's example. Just hit enter, hit send, get that first one out there. The reality is most people won't read it, right? So you can even tell yourself that. It's just there to let people know you exist, you're alive, and you're ready to help them.
I think it's great. Patrick Briscoe from Bayswater Wealth Management here at IBC. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you, Chris. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for joining me on Turning the Page. What did you learn from today's episode? If you follow me on LinkedIn, please drop me a comment there. I'd love to chat with you about it over a virtual coffee. Send me a message on LinkedIn, or you can do so at our website. The link's in the show notes. I'm Chris Reynolds, and until next time.